Good morning, everyone. Our group will present a post-incident analysis of the 2022 Medibank data breach, which is one of the most serious health data incidents in Australia. In this presentation, we will verify describe what happened, explain the attack path and affect assets, link the incident to core security principles such as the CIA trade and least privilege, and then discusses migrations, SOC response, human factors, and lethal and ethical issues. We will finish with key lessons and recommendations based on our risk management. Medibank is one of Australia's largest private health insurers. In 2022, attackers gained unauthorized access to its system over several weeks, roughly from August to November. After Medibank refused to pay a ransom, the attackers started publishing stolen data. Around 9.7 million current and former customers were affected, including highly sensitive health claims information and identity documents. The incident triggers investigation by regulators, potential civil penalties, class actions, lawsuits, customer compensation, and major reputational damage. So this case is important because it combines technical failure, privacy risk, and serious harm to trust in healthcare system. The attack started from a very simple point, a stolen password. The constructor working for Medibank's IT provider saved Medibank usernames and password in a browser on his work computer. Later, he logged into the same browser profile on his personal devices, which was infected with malware. The malware stole those credentials. Using those valid credentials, the attacker logged into Medibank's email and VPN. At that time, facing recent MFA was not enforced for this remote access. Once inside, the attacker benefited from overboard vendor permissions and limited segmentation, so moving towards system holding personal and health data was easier. Some security alerts was guaranteed, but they were not elicited quickly enough, which extended the time and the attacker stayed undetected. Now I will explain which assets were affected and how the CIA goals were impacted. The main assets were customer personal information, health claims records, and identity documents stored in Midbank system. The organization's IT infrastructure as well as staff and constructor process were also affected. In terms of the CIA trade, confidentiality suffered the most. Large volumes of personality identifiable information and sensitive health data were stolen and then released on the dark web. Integrity is harder to access because the attacker stayed in the network for weeks and the logged in was not perfect. So there is some uncertainty about whether any data was modified. Availability was not the main impact. Core service continued operating, but containment and investigation require resets and isolation steps that will still cause some disruption.
If we look beyond the stolen password, there were deeper root causes across people, process, and technology. On the people side, the contractor browsed and stored sensitive credentials in the browser, and there was not enough awareness about the risks of linking root passwords to a personal device. At the process level, vendor access and permissions were not regularly reviewed; least privilege access and data minimization were not fully enforced, so contractors could reach more systems and data than necessary. Technically, segmentation was limited, and some alerts from endpoint tools were not triggered or escalated quickly. Overall, this violated important security principles like least privilege, defense in deeps, accountability, and privacy by design, turning one stolen credential into a large-scale privacy incident. After confirming the breach, Medibank focused first on reducing customer harm. They offered financial hardship assistance, mental health support, ID care guidance, identity monitoring services, and the reimbursement of government document replacement fees. These measures were designed to reduce fraud risk and psychological harm. At the same time, many banks strengthened monitoring and incident response capabilities, brought in external cybersecurity experts, and worked with the AFP and the Australia Cybersecurity Central. The company also refused to pay the ransom, which increased the chance of data being leaked, but aligned with government guidance that paying often does not solve the problem and may encourage future attacks. Finally, Medibank launched a long-term cybersecurity uplift program, investing tens of millions of dollars in MFA, stronger access control, segmentation, and data loss prevention. From a risk management perspective, Medibank should treat third-party remote access and large health data stores as high-impact risks. That means keeping an up-to-date risk register, mapping controls to frameworks like ISO 27001 and NIST CSF, and regularly reviewing vendor security requirements and access levels. Penetration testing and red teaming are essential to validate these controls. Following an IST-SP 800-115, testers should simulate stolen credentials on VPN, try to escalate privileges, move laterally, and perform bulk data exports. Successful tests should trigger alerts and be blocked by MFA, segmentation, and DLP. Cryptography cannot stop the initial intrusion, but it can reduce the impact. Encrypting or tokenizing sensitive health and identity fields with strong key management and TLS in transit makes stolen databases less directly usable to attackers.
As a security operational center manager, the priority after detection is to contain the attack quickly and limit damage. First, the SOC must detect suspicious events early, such as unusual VPN logins, unexpected administrative activity, and large database export. Alarms should be turned so that true high-risk events are escalated within minutes. During containment, compromised accounts and sessions should be disabled. A file system or network segment isolated and malicious IP address or domain blocked. The SOC manager should immediately assemble the incident response team and external expert if needed. If the irritations and recovery phase, the organization must remove malwares and backdoors, patch vulnerabilities, reset password, urgently deploy MFA, and refill privileged accounts. Services are then restored gradually while monitoring for any signs of continued attacker activity. The Medibank incident clearly showed that human behavior can be as dangerous as technical vulnerability. A constructor stored Medibank username and password, including administrative credentials, in the web browsers. When he logged into the SAM profile on his personal computer, those credentials were assigned to a device that did not meet corporate security standards. After the device was infected with malware, the attacker could simply steal the stored password. Human factors probably also influences with the response. If SOC alliances were overloaded or not fully trained, important alarms may have been ignored or delayed. The key lesson is that organizations must enforce secure password practice, limit the use of personal devices for privileged work, provide ongoing awareness training, and encourage staff to treat security alarms and unusual behavior very seriously. Finally, we link the incident to legal and ethical issues and summarize our main lessons. Legally, the Privacy Act and Australian Privacy Principle 11 require organizations like Medibank to take reasonable steps to secure personal data. The officers of the Australian Information Commission now allege that Medibank did not meet that standard and has launched a civil penalty process. Our key recommendations are to enforce permission-resistant MFA and least privileged access, treat third-party access as a high-risk area, build a strong security culture, and regularly test and control using independent audits and red team exercise. This step could have significantly reduced the scale and importance of the Medibank breach. Thank you for watching.